For all of us, marriage should be a bliss full of laughter, love, and all the good things that we have in life.
And what happens when all these good things turn out to be bad things? What happens when now marriage becomes full of tears? Welcome to Family Times, and we are talking about a marriage without tears. Is it really possible?
I don't think so.
Let's find out. Come on, let's go. So, Linda, coming in green to help us unpack marriage without tears are Richard and Tabby.
Tabitha, welcome, Richard and Tabitha.
Hello.
To the living room.
Hi.
Karibuni
long
sana.
time.
How have you been?
I'm good.
You okay?
Yeah.
The
Karibu
kids?
sana. Yeah,
The kids are fine.
That's good.
And
Stay.
your son?
Karibuni.
He's well.
Good to see you.
Well.
Karibu sana.
see you
Thank you.
too.
Karibu sana.
Welcome.
The question, thank you.
Yeah.
The question is marriage possible without tears?
Maybe we can find out.
Yes.
Yeah, we can find out. We might not.
They are in purple, if I'm not wrong. Yes, Fred and Diana.
Yeah.
They are coming in to help us understand this. Karibu sana, Fred and Diana. We
friends.
appreciate you. It's good to see you once
Nice to
again.
see you.
See you.
For promising to come back.
Yes.
How are you?
Good.
Yes, ma'am.
Karibu sana,
Yes.
Diana.
Fine. Karibu.
Fred,
Welcome.
Hi.
mambo?
Machi machi. Huh?
Uko salama?
Niko salama.
Looking
Karibu
nice.
sana.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, please let us take our
Oh,
seats.
thank you. Thank
And
you.
then we try to digest a marriage without tears.
Yeah.
So, how is home, Fred?
We are doing good.
The kids.
We're happy to be here. Everyone is fine.
We thank
Asante
God.
sana.
We are good too.
Good.
Yeah.
We are also good.
Thank you.
Good.
Yes.
Yeah.
The reason why we are here today is just to discuss about marriage without tears. Is
That's an interesting
Yeah.
topic today.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is because marriage without tears, marriage is supposed to be a bliss, like Linda said earlier. Happiness, joy, laughter, fun, but then tears. Don't forget to say tears of joy. Richard.
Yeah, the tears of joy.
What kind of tears?
Exactly. You have to know which kind of tears you're talking about.
What? Yeah. It's a good
Tears
one.
of joy.
Yes.
Whatever the kind,
Yes.
it is tears.
It is tears.
There are
Okay,
people
tears.
who shed tears when they are very happy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are people who shed tears
Yeah.
when they are very sad. There are people
Who do both?
who do both. Yes.
Okay. But then, for the sake of this discussion, of course, we'll briefly talk about tears of joy. But we want to talk about these tears that make us sad.
Oh,
Yeah. I don't expect you to be sad, but we want to talk about these tears that make us sad.
Yeah.
Yes. Have you ever cried? In your
Many
marriage?
times. Many times.
Many times.
Yeah.
Tabby?
I cry so many times. Like when there's a situation, even with people, I just shed tears.
Then?
It's natural to us women. We do cry.
Oh,
No, even men cry.
You meant to cry, yeah.
I
But
was
not so much
expecting you
anyway.
So
agree
do
with me.
they do it naturally, or is it just? Is it the tears we want to
cry
talk about, or they just do it internally?
Well, that is what we want to understand, because first of all, I wanted all of us and even our viewer to understand that these people who are sitting here in this our living room are human beings and they have cried.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So why do we cry? What are the situations that make us cry? Yeah.
There are so many situations that make us cry. If you see somebody crying, definitely they are sad. So probably there's an expectation that was not met, or probably there's an incident that has just happened or is happening. You know, so you cannot just cry for no reason. Something just broke your heart. So
Or
you
lost
end up
something.
crying.
Or you've lost something.
Oh, you lost something.
of value.
Yeah.
So something broke
Attached
your
to
heart
you.
or something,
Yeah.
you've lost something. I want us, can we be a little bit more specific?
Dave, as we go into the specifics, what brings the two together, like my wife and I, what brought us together to form this marriage is love. And all of us would agree that love is a principle, but it is a principle that involves emotions.
Yes.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So whenever we are talking about emotions,
Crying is there.
there must be emotional changes, whether to the positive or negative. But to go straight to your point, is the negative side. When you are crying because of a disappointment or things not working your way, and there is a negative change in your emotions. You may cry to shed tears, and you may cry, but tears may not come out. So
Is it healthy?
as men, sometimes it may be against the societal expectation,
The way you are trained, that's it.
so that I am allowed to let it out freely. But ladies will allow it to come out freely. But I want to agree with you as we start, that marriage will have a lot of tears.
Men crying. It's an ugly scene. Anyway, Richard, you wanted to.
I'm still wondering. I'm still at the place of thinking about it, crying, and thinking that as an emotion out of love, for one to cry, there must be something that's very hurting. When the whole thing is built on love, because that is what draws people together. That's where we start with in our marriages. So for us to leave that good place where we are smiles and laughter, and then we come to crying, something must have gone very wrong.
Yes.
It probably is not very normal, or it's not very acceptable that a man would cry. And as he has mentioned, that men probably don't cry in the open. They just hold it in. The emotion is just held in, and then we cry from inside, so no tears are falling. But okay, we are talking about tears flowing. Somebody who brings out tears because they're crying, there's something hurting, must be really going through a lot. Must be a reason, especially for men. It must be a very good. For ladies, they can be happy and they're just crying. They can be at their happiest moment, and then they're shedding out tears. And you're wondering,
And I think
which one are you doing?
But I think it's
Are
also
you-
very healthy to cry anyway.
Oh, okay, health or not.
Yeah, even because biology tells us that when you cry, your tears actually clean your eyes. But then you have talked about situations, or rather, let me call them seasons, because in marriage we have seasons, right?
Yes,
We have seasons where we are happy,
Yeah.
but then some sadness come in
Yes.
because of something.
Yeah.
Those are the things that I want us to pick and move with them, because you've talked about emotions. When I am sad, it means there is something deep inside that has made me so.
Yes.
Yeah. And just to confirm that it is not possible to have a marriage without tears.
Where there's love,
Can you confirm?
where there's love, tears.
What is love?
It is possible to have a marriage without tears.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. It is possible.
Are you sure?
Are you sure?
Not married without yes. I think
Not really. Actually, if I can, I've observed in very many weddings, on a wedding day, you find that most of the ladies, they normally cry. So are those tears for,
Those are joy. Tears
are
joy.
they for the happiness or are they for the
Where they are
pain?
going.
Do they feel any pain during that
cry
time?
for no
Ladies
reason.
can tell us why they cry.
Ladies do
No,
cry
it
for no
is
reason.
something
anyway.
that is disturbing my mind. Why do they
reason.
shed tears anyway?
You know,
Is it for the joy or for the
It's always
sadness?
joy.
probably
Yeah,
they
for
would
the
say that
wedding.
if you don't
It depends,
shed
by the
tears,
way.
they'll think that umeenda free.
that you are happy to leave. You are burdened.
you are
you are
happy.
burdened
Yeah.
behind. So
Yeah.
So you are
But
happy
but that aside,
Seriously.
that aside, in marriage, situations that make us cry,
Yes.
There are very
disappointment,
Death.
There are
yes,
very many.
breaking of
Very many,
promise.
as she says.
Yeah.
Remember, as we get into it, and I'm going to be very candid, we got into this marriage with a lot of expectations.
Yeah.
There are things she expected me to do. I think in her first 2 months in marriage,
I almost said our first trimester in marriage, but I'm still within that. Yes.
2 months.
Yes.
In her first 2 months in marriage, now we are doing 8 years.
Amen.
She expected to have been bought for a number of clothes. That was the first disappointment. And she told me frankly that I expected that by now I ought to have changed this suitcase. We ought to have outdone it. But that was a disappointment. And I remember that was, even me, that was my first disappointment. Is it coming from you that you're asking me to buy clothes when you know I don't have money? And from that time, we have grown from one tier to the other. You will be expecting children and they're not coming. Sometimes you may cry alone. Infidelity.
Yes.
You are disappointed big time.
Yeah, it's killing a lot of...
And then you realize maybe sometimes it is you alone or both of you. A disease sets in, maybe on the child or the spouse. What do you do? Or even death. But now because
You're finishing the point. Do you have any other example or anyone else? Because Fred seemed like he wants to disappoint us and make us cry because we don't have points.
Let me share something. Like, for example, for me, let me give my experience. When naturally as a parent, when you have children, you would wish that they be obedient, and maybe if you give an instruction, they follow, and maybe they get directed to the way the Lord wants. But if you have this child who keeps on disappointing you every now and then, until you ask God, where did I go wrong? What am I not doing? So it can really hurt you, and you can really cry, and ask yourself a lot of questions. Am I doing the right thing? Where did I go wrong? So sometimes children in our lives, in our marriages, can make us really feel that pain.
So yes.
Okay, I just want to add on what she has said, that when we live, in a family, you can have the in-laws, and maybe at times you can go wrong. And so at times you find yourself that maybe your husband may correct you in front of them. Maybe it was wrong, yes, but you were corrected in front of them. So you just find yourself, tears are just rolling. Tears. So those tears, there are very many. What causes them? Just these small things that we normally ignore. They causes us to have those tears. Yeah.
The little things that count. I was just thinking about, in communication we have verbal and non-verbal communication. In this setup we have tears and non-tears. You know, those ones that make you bitter inside. I don't know, I feel like calling it resentment, or for lack of a better word, tears that don't flow out but flow back. Like she has said, a correction. There is a writer that says a brutal honesty is cruelty. Brutal honesty is cruelty. Yeah,
it can be.
Yeah,
it can be very well.
So someone can hurt you, but never really meant to hurt you. But the way it has been communicated to you, the package, yes, as Linda puts it. Do you have an example of a package?
When you have gone to your wardrobe and put on that dress, and you think this is really cool, and you come in to ask your husband, and
Tabi, it's like you just took that perfect example from us.
Oh, really?
Finish, and then I'll tell it to the old one.
And you're like, okay, which one do I wear, this or that? And it's like, any. You're like, ask your opinion. Any, I would have not asked you.
Just pick one.
Or I wear this and I'm like, am I fat? You know, we like to be lied to. It's like, no, you're just good. You're just good. Deep down, you know he's hurting you. Or the brutal truth is like, oh my goodness, you're so fat. You know what? Your self-esteem goes from up there to zero. So that one, you might not shed the tears.
You look like a pig.
Yeah, so those things really break our hearts.
I don't know why I married you.
I went silent because I was listening. And
I hope you're not crying backwards.
I'm not crying.
Okay.
I won't cry about that. Because when I say that, for example, if she asks me about how she looks like, because she has worn this dress or worn the other one. You know, there are two things. One, there's an expectation for me. And as she says, probably I may lie. I'm not being honest by saying you're okay. That is one. That is to try and avoid those tears which might come. That is step number one. The other one is, I am just honest, properly, brutally honest, as you say. Why? It hasn't really come into my mind to think how you look like. You are dressed, that is fine for me, that's okay. You know, probably that may not be the right answer, or it may be a right answer, but not at the appropriate time. I may not know how to dress it and make it look very rosy and very nice, so that I say, oh, you look perfect, I like this part, I like that part. No, I may not go to that. But all in all, what then would make us, or you, cry because somebody has told you you're okay? Why would that be?
I think maybe if you've lived in a place where someone has been constantly telling you that you're not worthy, and then someone appreciates you, but then you'll definitely cry.
If it is repeated, repeated, every other time you're asked about it, this becomes your answer, then I think somebody might read from you that you don't care. Women like people who care for them. It doesn't matter whether they care for themselves.
Even men we love, I love being told I'm smart. When I ask Linda, how do I look? She's like, go to sour. I mean, that is just being blank. You don't have adjectives to describe how I look.
To qualify your smartness.
And then when you go out there, somebody compliments you.
They're like, wow. I know. Linda was like, so you're like, go to sour.
You almost said the truth, because on Friday I was somewhere and I dressed up.
You felt you're okay.
And I was okay in my mind, and I thought I would be told that I was okay. So when I came out of that bedroom without any statement, and I called her, please come and pray for me from the bedroom first before I go out. She saw me and did not say a word. When I went out, I was told that what? In fact, I got them whispering. I said, men can be sharp. Then I went back to the house, I told her, you know, this was whispered in my hearing. And then she says, I saw it. I was like, why did you speak it?
And you know, Fred, sometimes it also goes back to your wife that wanaume wengine walioa. Look at this lady. I mean, look at this man. Yes. So all the praise go back to Linda, who was probably asleep when I was leaving. But then the question is it okay to cry? Whether it's a man or a woman, is it okay to cry? And do we have a limit to cry?
Yes. I think we have a limit to crying. Where the situation is very bad, there is a limit to crying. You can't continuously cry, and you can't cry continuously for unlimited time. There must be the end of that, we go to the next chapter. What I mean is, if I have said something or I haven't commented as is expected, and this has made you feel so bad, you are so hurt emotionally, you're going to shed tears, then stop crying. Let's talk about it. There has to be a place where you say, okay, let's now discuss it. Be open and say what you expected. Because that is what the business of getting married is all about.
I think not everybody has that wisdom. So I think we mentioned that marriage is two people, takes two, right? So for instance, if I realize that, for example, he has his, how do you say, weakness, and he's definitely, like for example, maybe if I like to cry, and I have been crying over and over, I think there's the bigger person thing, right? You just take your time and talk to your spouse, like, hey, what's going on? You know, just finding out and knowing that, hey, you know, this is what happened. Don't assume that the other person is an angel. Don't assume, let me not assume that he's an angel, that I know, he should know what I'm going through. Yeah. If I am not communicating, it is upon him to ask me. It is also upon me to ask him, like, what's going on? Because if we assume, we can't assume things. People are going through so much in life, especially in marriage. Yeah.
Okay. Is it okay to cry?
Yeah. It's healthy. I can say it's healthy. Because when you are hurt, you cry, then you find yourself relieved.
Yeah.
After now you have been relieved, is when you people, the two of you can sit down and maybe discuss what causes the tears. And you come to an agreement, and you come to in terms, and you come to accept that maybe I was wrong or he was wrong. Yeah, I think it's healthy at times to shed tears.
But what I have observed and I have read so far, when someone cries, they have been hurt. And the way they were growing, there's a way they were told how to handle things. So this person who has been growing and is now getting into marriage has come from somewhere. And there's some background that that person went through that has shaped that person. So we need, like what Tabitha has said, that we need to really understand this person, maybe come down and ask, what's up? Maybe she will tell you, he or she will tell you some instant, some situation that happened to their lives somewhere down the line and has caused a lot of pain that that person has never ever relieved it or recovered or overcome that thing. So we need to get to come and see, maybe, yeah, it's not good to, cry every time, but when you see someone crying every time, there's something behind it, which we need to sort it before, like trying to, like, you are bothered, why do you keep on crying every time? There's something that is at the back that needs to be taken care of.
So Dave, those tears are not rolling in vain, they are really communicating a lot.
Exactly.
So it's double-edged. It's helping the person who is crying, and it is helping the person who might have caused this. So that you actually know, wow, could it be me?
Yes.
I'm the husband, I'm the wife. Is it me who is causing my wife to be like this? I need to do something. So when you are crying in that relationship, it is natural. You are a human being. In fact, when at times she sheds tears, then I am concerned. I'm saying, well, emotions are still involved, love is still here. But if you do something to your spouse and they are not bothered, okay, you can do whatever you want, then you say, that love is dead.
You're right.
That love is dead.
You know what?
But when you guys are right.
I remember when my dad died so many years ago. You know, just getting that news, you know, I really cried. I cried until I could cry no more. Yes. And that way, I was able to, you know, we were able to talk about it. Yes. And now I can easily talk about my dad. So, the same thing with marriage. If you let somebody cry so much, it will reach a time where they won't even cry. That means they really don't care. Yeah.
When there's an instant, a story I read, there was this lady, the man kept on abusing her for a long time, and it reached a time, she said no more crying.
Right.
The day she stopped crying, this man was in trouble, because she was like, why am I doing this to you? Why am I not crying nowadays? And the girl was, alifika mwisho.
Like,
yeah. So there was nothing.
The guy must be troubled that I'm no longer
Exactly.
Yes, something is being communicated that you must listen to.
Yeah.
Okay. We are moving well. Thank you for bringing in this aspect of how to go about this process. I've also learned from Diana's experience that sometimes it is just good to let someone cry first, and then now you can sit down and solve it, right? Instead of, you know, I don't know, sometimes, Richard, I don't know, sometimes I get confused what to do when Linda is crying.
Yeah, why don't we talk about it, then you can cry.
No, it doesn't make sense.
Come on.
The tears won't even come.
Must we reach the place of crying?
Yeah, it is, because it's healthy. It relieves you.
Is
and
it?
You feel lighter, and you can be able to
Linda.
make judgment and talk well.
Does it add any vitamin?
No, but
Does
no,
it add
it's
any-
about crying.
Yeah.
What brings about crying?
Yes.
When somebody has broken your heart.
Speak-
When you
speak
have
to-
lost
to
something.
me
Yes.
about it.
You're a human being.
I am
to me
literally
about-
crying.
Yeah.
I am literally crying for more time from our producer, because we need to take a short break. When we are coming back, we are going to understand the lessons that we learn from all this.
Thank you.
See you then. Welcome back, and in case you're just joining us, we are talking about a marriage without tears. And before we went for the break, Richard insisted that why should you cry? Talk to me first, then cry about it. But then it has generated a lot. Richard,
Yes.
back to you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Dave, I still insist. If I've done something wrong, talk to me. Let me know. I may not
Don't
know.
cry.
Don't cry. You can cry after you've told me
These are
exactly.
emotions.
Hold on.
There are emotions
Hold on.
that you're dealing with.
Thank you. Hold on.
And- okay.
Let me just finish. I have stepped on you. You are feeling the pain. Tell me that you have stepped on you. That's why, for me to know, that's why you're crying.
We have to know
Dave,
that
Dave,
there are
Dave,
different
Dave, Dave,
temperaments.
There's no question of we have to.
Dave, let me come in.
Different.
Let me come in.
Yeah.
You see, tears come as a result of the pain.
Yes.
It may even go fast before even you think of saying, please, you have hurt
Yes.
me.
Right.
No.
You will feel the pain
Reflex
fast.
action.
Correct.
And you should not view
Yes.
the tears as a weakness on the person who has been hurt, but
In fact.
as a method of communication.
Fred.
This person is communicating
Yeah.
like a child.
I view it as intimidation.
Can I finish? Like
You
a
want
child.
to intimidate me with your tears.
Let
Tell me.
Let him finish. Let
Tell
him
me,
finish.
Richard, you have done this and that, you have hurt me. Break down. It's all right, I'll feel it.
Yes.
Wait a
Because I
minute.
didn't know.
Wait a minute.
Thank you.
Have you ever cried?
I have.
Okay, continue.
How will children communicate?
When they
Crying.
cry.
It's crying.
Yes.
Exactly.
And you will be able to understand that
Yes.
could be they want to sleep
Or they are
or
wet.
where they are something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I am not
we started by
disputing that.
saying that here emotions are involved.
Emotions, that's what I
And
wanted to tell
we are
Richard.
communicating.
Yes.
Right.
Some are, in fact, the person who is communicating through crying is better than the person who is communicating through keeping quiet.
There's an incident that I had about a friend of mine who was going through so much. And I tried to ask her, like, hey, what's going on? And she could not talk. She cried for so long, and I let her cry. When she was done, she was able to tell me
talk,
each and
yeah.
everything. Everything in detail. So
Okay.
at times, crying helps us to talk later.
like
But when you cannot, let that person cry.
At times, it does.
In fact, most times.
Most times.
That's where we
But
differ.
we are not stones. Just like Freda said, we have emotions. We are created beings who have feelings.
Right.
Yeah, so when your feeling has been hurt, whether you just express it by crying, and that's the best way, other than what they're saying, like you stop talking. When someone reaches that point, know that you are in
The
danger.
people who commit
But
suicide.
now,
Yeah.
now.
There are
So-
these people who, the psychologists, they normally tell the learners that when you go to counsel somebody and you find yourself that you've started a topic and he's crying,
Cry with them.
you let her cry first, and then when he or she stops crying is when you people continue with the discussions.
Tabby just whispered, cry with them.
Cry
Yeah,
with them.
yeah, you
And-
cry
and-
with
When you
them.
cry with me.
And Tabi, you talked about someone.
Yeah.
This is a real life situation.
Right.
One Sabbath morning, I was from some studio, and I think she saw some text message that I think was not clear in her mind, and she was like, "Today we are dying in this house."
Yes.
So
I think she cried.
They was crying.
And
Okay.
when I was back, she was like, "We are not going to church until we have solved this thing."
Yes.
What is it? Came down, explained it. I was preaching somewhere. Then I went preaching. She was not satisfied, and I thought I was done. Went to sleep. Then in the middle of the night,
She wakes you
around
up.
11 something, 12,
Wakes
I'm
you
being woken up. Freddy, wake up. How is it? Then I'm like,
How come thou fallest asleep whilst the storm is raging?
it's raging. Then I'm like, what's happening? I thought I'd explained. Tabby, what? You know what? I cried. Then she was like, I am sorry.
I'm sorry.
And like, I was off the bed and like, I have told you this thing, I never explained myself.
Fred,
I have never cried before. I
That's
had never
why-
cried before her.
Yeah,
That's
but you
why-
cried.
But then I cried and said, I have
That
communicated to you
was
my
so
emotions
genuine.
about you
Fred,
and
you-
what I meant and what the text meant and everything. You don't understand.
I'm dying to say
telling you,
this.
At the end of the day,
Hey.
we slept so well and she
She
babysat
The
me.
rest is this.
Fred, you say you cried.
Yes.
That was her crying, her tears were therefore intimidating to you. Eventually, you had to cry as well.
No. What I'm saying, Rich,
Yes.
is that she was able to understand
Even after you explained.
my attachment still now because
Even-
my tears now communicated to her.
Even
I've
after-
already done my
speaking,
part, yeah.
this was right. What he's saying is the truth. But I was not crying to intimidate. No.
But you have explained
And,
it
and,
it hasn't
and be
gone
glad
anywhere.
that you were woken up to talk about this thing, albeit at very late hours in the night. Some of us don't speak.
Yes.
Yeah.
We don't talk
Million.
about
And that is
it.
the worst.
We just cry, and then after the tears, I'm told I'm fine, and the eyes are swollen. I'm fine. I'm like no, and then the crying continues. You
I
say,
think
"Hey,
just like I mentioned, different temperaments. You know, people have different whatevers of dealing with situations.
Yeah.
So somebody will just cry and feel good. You know what? I feel much better after crying. So if it's a situation, maybe after crying, they feel that, you know what?
The relief.
Next time, this is how I'm going to sort it out. Yeah. So that can also happen. Yeah, that can also happen.
okay."
Yeah.
So, what are the lessons we learn from such situations? Because we
People
have
are
realized that, yes,
People are
we have
different.
we find ourselves in situations where we cry, whether we expect to cry or not, whether we like crying or not, whether crying sorts relieves us or not, we find ourselves in such situations. And even our viewer back at home,
Yeah.
it is okay. Forget about what the society says, that men should not cry.
Should cry.
Men are human beings. In fact, I believe
If-
men are...
if you
especially
don't cry,
kissing men,
you
especially
get a lot of stress and you get depressed by the way.
Yeah.
It
That's
comes
why we
back
have
to you and
suicide.
kills you.
Yeah.
So you need to let it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a,
Oh, go ahead.
excuse me. There is a text in the Bible which refers to Jesus as having wept.
Wept.
Yes. When he was doing that, what is our judgment about it? Was that an emotional one? Was that a painful one? What made Christ cry?
Rich, I think there are a lot of
Yeah.
I'm just talking about
explanations to that.
Jesus' situation.
But
Yes.
on the periphery, what meets the eye first is that there's a funeral
Yeah.
and there are mourners. Yes. And you can see the desperate situation, and that would elicit some emotion.
You know,
And especially when said,
you know, in some cases, you can attend a funeral, but the way someone mourns can make you cry.
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Continue.
but when it is said that your friend
Your friend,
Lazarus,
yeah, your friend.
Lazarus.
Yeah.
Today when I attend a funeral, we were often at a very early stage in life. And when I go to a funeral where a woman is being widowed, or I see orphans, whatever happens, I will have to clear my tears. I will have to shed tears, whatever the situation. So even in this, Jesus was a human being, fully human being. So he might have felt that, wow,
That's
my
a
friend is
friend.
dead. And look at the desperate situation. Though he knew that it was to be for the glory of God at the end of it, but he felt for them.
Very good. Now let's move from Christ into our families. Exactly in our own houses. If we are going to cry, we, the two of us, are going to cry. Because one of us must be moved to a place of emotion where she or he can cry. If we are going to cry, we must cry, we must weep, we must shed tears from a point of understanding for both of us. That is one of the first things. Because you are crying and you shedding tears, if it's not known to me, then I think you are causing me a lot of problems. Speak to me so that I understand, you know. And the earlier, before you start weeping, the better.
Richard, there was a day I tried that.
Yes.
There was a day I tried that, and I tried pushing Linda to speak to me amidst crying, and the words could not come out. And I still remember that day. I still remember that time. I mean, and the next thing, she has moved from low octave soprano to very, very high octave soprano. And she was, I was like, I've never said this. So, I may not agree with you that when she's crying, speak to me. When she's crying, I've learned. Let her cry, Maliza, then we talk.
Yes, Dave.
Talk, then cry.
You know, we are speaking from a point of understanding that only one person is crying at a time.
Exactly.
But there could be situations when the two of you are in it together.
Yeah.
When I already understand why you're crying, it's all right to cry.
No,
with
you
me.
understand. But
And when I know that the reason for my crying, she can cry with me. I have no problem with that.
Yeah, but I'm saying
But
the
let me
reason
know.
is for both of you.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
making you to cry, both of you. Like, you see, it must not be the literal tears,
Yeah,
but something
that's
that is
true.
paining you deep down.
Yeah.
It's 3 years and there's no job in this house.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Oh, that breaks.
It's the third month and the landlord will come knocking. What will happen? Both of you are in tears. And that's why we are saying it is almost impractical for a family to stay without such like things in their lives.
That's all right.
And the lessons we are learning from this, to me, is that even a rose flower has thorns.
Wow.
So as you come into this marriage, please be well aware
Can be pricked.
Very
that
true.
you can be pricked.
That is
I-
true. That is.
I agree fully with that. My only problem would be in marriage, when both of us, when we are married. How then do we look at that and try to help each other? So that there is no crying. And whenever there's crying and there's weeping and there's shedding of tears, both of us are in tandem. So that I understand it and get to know, what is this thing that pains you so much that I don't know? Why don't you let me know? Let me help you crying.
I think the best time to sort a situation is not when somebody is crying. Let them cool down. You know, wait for the person to be cool and calm. That's when you can sit down with the person and, hey, you know what? Yesterday you were crying. You cried and this happened. You mind talking to me and you tell me what's really happening? That way the person will be able to talk about it. But when you ask the person at that time when they're crying, I don't think you'll be able to get the problem at that particular time. So it's always good. Now, you've lived with Linda, you've lived with Dee for so long. You know the happy moments. You know when she's sad, you know when she's happy. Why don't you wait for that moment and just ask, like, hey, this has been going on. What's going on? Like, can we talk about it? Then you'll be able to help the person.
Okay.
Yeah.
We are still talking about lessons that we learn from a marriage without tears. All of us agree that it is not possible to have a marriage without tears because there is a trigger in this. There has to be some trigger. Worse still, if we are the ones who trigger, we trigger our spouse's tears. Now, how do we go about this? I've hurt her, not once, not twice. And I want to stop this because I don't like seeing her cry.
Yeah.
She doesn't like see me cry. By the way, there was a time I also cried. See, she's now smiling because we overcame that.
Yeah, I like
So that is exact. I just wanted that to come out. The lessons we learn from this? You've already given us a very important point, that at that point that Linda is crying, I cannot be able to sort out that.
Get anything out of it.
Let her cry, then we can talk about it, because could be it's something that I do unknowingly.
I think most of the times we become so insensitive, especially if the tears, I'm the one who made my spouse cry. Why am I saying insensitive? If it's a situation that I had done, or I had done before, and my spouse cried, and I keep on doing it, that is so insensitive. We should learn to be sensitive to our spouses, so that if we realize that when we step on their toe this way, and this is what it makes them feel, we should try not to go that route, and then we'll be better. And then we become so selfish, you know. It is all about me, myself, and I. Yes, we are married, but it's about me, myself, and I. The moment we are going to learn that me and my husband are one thing, then we will not be selfish. So selfishness should not be in our marriage.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think from Tabi I pick it up that the two of us are now one.
Yeah.
We should be sharing emotions. And it will be very bad if I am happy in the house,
Yes.
and and my wife is hurting. That would be very bad. I would be a sadist.
I agree.
Let the situation that causes the tears be for both of us. Let's be in it together, so that when we are happy, all of us are happy. If it is an external shock that we need to absorb, let's absorb it together. A child is sick, a relative is dead, or something like that. But if it's like my phone is causing her to be in tears every now and again, then I will be so insensitive to fail to listen to that. And I do away with it once and for all. There are these friends we were with before we got married. And some of them still can call and text as they wanted.
Right.
So
And we enjoy.
And you enjoy, and you still enjoy.
And we entertain.
And we entertain.
And you think it's cool.
And we tolerate.
And some of us men, we can tolerate for as long as. So it's good to make an end, to realize that we are now in another level. And I think that will allow us to be, when you are shedding tears, it will be for both of us.
Oh, okay. Shedding
I
tears,
also think
yes.
we need to understand someone's background.
Yeah.
Get to know how their life was when they were growing, where they went, whatever they went through. That will help you know how to handle this person. Because you can be either a source of that person healing or continue damaging that person. So we need to understand them from where they came from their background. We can save a lot.
Yeah, we can pray about it
Yeah.
and have God lead us into that.
Yeah.
Because we don't get married with manuals.
It's true.
You don't come to a marriage with a manual. You know, my mother was like this, so if I go there, please just excuse me. We don't come with that, you know. We are coming as new people, we are coming to live, and this is what it is.
Yeah.
But I say that it is better to stop this crying, that people can discuss and talk about issues.
After crying.
There is this insistence that after crying, wherever, let it be if it must go to that. But for me, we need to talk about these issues. If it's a repeated thing that goes on, then let me understand that honestly, you are crying because you are now overwhelmed. This is a matter we have sat, we have discussed, and we have gone on. How come you're going back into it? But then
Richard,
it can go there.
You'll agree with me that there are situations that you really cannot say, we have discussed this and I don't expect any more tears. Especially in situations where you are really not involved, you are not the cause of the tears.
Yes.
Let me give a perfect example. I'm told it takes long for you to mourn your loved one. Linda lost the father a few months ago. And sometimes I would walk into the bedroom or even in the kitchen and find her alone, and she's crying. She's doing whatever she's doing, but she's crying. And somehow, I instinctively know that Linda is mourning the father because everything is fine. There's nothing I've done wrong, but I see her cry. And then I'm like, sweetheart, Pole. I always say that, Pole, and just rub her like,
I know.
and just rub her like that, and then she feels nice. And I don't stay there.
Yeah,
Because
I like that.
Exactly.
I also have my tears close by.
Yes.
I will join her. But at that point, I want to give her support. I want to be next to her.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that is what I wanted to bring up.
Yes.
There are two situations.
Yes.
There are situations where you are really not involved in it.
Yeah.
There are others that you are directly involved
Can't
in
change
it.
it.
So when you are not, you give the support.
Yes.
Yes, and give them their space.
Exactly. You
Yes.
know what happened.
Dave,
Can't
yes.
do any other
They
thing.
say that wine matures with age.
Okay.
In such situations, give them time. Time is a great healer.
It is.
As Rich put it, pray with them.
Yes.
Just pray with them.
You already know
God in
the
His
issue.
own ways
Yes.
will heal them. But when there are things you can't control and they are bringing tears, you try to do your part and just give them time. And in fact, even in such things that we are actually coming from us, even in the family, there are things you will outgrow with age. You realize, we are now past this. We are now past this. That's why it is very wrong to end a marriage on year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, year 10. You have not yet grown to see this person, the other part. So allow this person to grow. You realize that some of the things that make a lot of nonsense to you or do not make sense to you will be of essence. But some of the things you treasure now will not be of essence, will not be of value to you. So give each other time. Think about the marriage, you want to take it to the next level. It should be of importance to both of you.
Yep.
So as you give it time, it will mature. And there are things that cause your tears, you shall have learned how to outgrow them.
Dan,
Yes.
you have been quiet for long. Are you crying from the
I'm
inside?
not crying. I'm digesting.
Okay. Now, we're almost coming to the end. And thank you very much for all your contributions. Now, what message of hope are we giving to our viewer? Because this viewer has experienced tears for a long time, and you have really brought it nicely. We need to pray about it. We need to understand them. One more. Let's go one more time and give hope to this viewer listening, watching us now. Let me start with Diana, then to Fred.
Okay. I have one hope for our viewers. We are two of us that have just come together to live. We are just human beings. What can help us in our marriage is just prayer. You did devotion together, you study the word of God together. Even if any matter, however difficult it will be, arises between the two, you will just go on your knees, and probably God will just open ways for you. But tears will be there. They will not be there. But what do we do when they are there? Let's go on our knees. We turn to God. It's the only hope that will help us go about all these tears that we shed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Fred.
Peter says that thinking about Jesus, think about Jesus because he cares for you. There's no better song that I have found in my life. Oh yes, he cares.
I know.
His heart
It's touched.
is touched with your pain. Whatever the tears, whether for joy, there is an increment in salary or anything, whether there is a demotion and you are crying, whether you have been cheated upon, please think upon God. Think upon Jesus. He cares for you.
Amen. Amen. Tabby.
Dear viewer, I just want to encourage you that it is not the end of the road. If the tear that you have is from maybe the in-laws or your friend, just get support system, you know. There's somebody who's gone through it. Get to talk to them. you'll realize that people are going through so much out there. And even if you cry, don't cry for so long. Cry, but knowing that there is a Jesus, there is a God who really cares for you. Amen. But talk to somebody about it, because if you don't talk to somebody about it, the people who die because of that, they do not want to share the problems that they have. So talk to somebody about it. Don't keep it to yourself. It's very dangerous.
Asante. Richard?
Thank you, Dave. To our viewer, we seem to be agreeing that there is no marriage without tears. Many of us go through that. There is a way out of this. One is to be reliant on your God. Carry it to Jesus. At that point when you're carrying to Jesus, you are talking to him. Make it a practice too to talk to your spouse.
Okay.
You may want to start with the crying and end up with the solution. There are people who seek the solution before they will start crying. That probably is difficult, but rely on Christ.
Thank you. You okay now?
Yeah.
Okay. Philippians 4.
Philippians 4:8 says, "Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are good, are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things."
Though the sorrows may last for a while, joy comes in the morning. Work on it, because it is still work in progress. God bless you. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for joining. And we have had a wonderful discussion. See you next time, same time.